Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded. Now, this is the second part of trying to explain to you how you are created and relate to technology yourself. And by knowing this, you should understand that we all have a common enemy and that they have lied to you about everything to do with reality itself. And so, this was my dissertation. Sorry, Rob. And it has to be known, and so I'm going to read it to you. And this, to be honest, was about 13,000 words long, and it could have been, 3 or 4 times that. So if I do go off a bit topic, it does relate. Just bear with me. In order to actually rebuild your perception of reality, you must know a great deal of information, and you also must forget what you think you know about this world, what you've seen on TV, what you've been told at school. And it takes a long time to fully deprogram yourself, and I'll explain why we have been programmed and how programming is a technological term. Just please bear with me. This might be a long video, but by the end of it, I hope you should see that, we must do something. So it's the deception of all the core subjects and the plans to kill all of the aliens' creations, including humanity. And essentially, you look at the mass killings of all the animals across the planet, the sea, birds, the direct attacks on populations of animals, in Tasmania, for example. I mean, I've got a documentary to show, a clip from a few things I've collected over the years of what they've been up to and the attacks they've been doing on the life. They're not discriminating this unseen force against, they're against everything that is of the creation. And unfortunately, at the same time, they're like, right, we want to do it our own way as well. And so, currently, if you've not noticed that the weather is a bit mental, it isn't nothing to do with global warming. It's because that's a lie, and they're the ones messing around with the weather. They're the ones using geoengineering, and now they got a fake holographic sun in the sky. They're using it. So let's get into it. And this is why it relates to the emulation of the technology creation in the image of the beast, or Lucifer, as I'll try to explain, is what Freemasons call God. Let's move on. So this is a historical review through time and involves the Eoliths, which is about, as we'll get into it, about stone tools of supposed evolutionary ancestry going back to the dinosaurs. So lithic characteristics, the theory of evolution, creationism, geological and natural processes, geological principles, anatomical modern human origins, biblical interpretation, academic processes and limitations. That's a key thing to understand. Mud fossils and petrification, that is another thing to do with geological time. Paleoanthropology, again we'll explain. Cosmological principles, climate change and weather modification, I've already approached that already and even started. HARP, the Great Deception, the Golden Age in the Bible mentioned, and the relation to all the pyramids and ziggurats of the world, that they just don't want to connect to each other, and they lie, and they cover up history. And that's what they've done. It's repeating itself because they've covered it up. They've known the truth and they've used it to their advantage, and they've created wars through politics, and it all goes through the Catholic Church and the Black Pope, the Jesuit order, the Knights Templars. Through, this is where you got to look at history and what's gone on. They never went away. Our country's flag is a Templar flag. Freemasonry still does the traditions of the Templars, And they control the education system through all these different secret societies. Not all of them are in on it, but at the top, most definitely. And this involves the UN and their depopulation agenda, which also involves their Equality Act 2020 about LGBT in primary schools, and their abuse of power, and their colonization after our bombs go off in the Middle East. They'll go in there and anglicize it, and they'll take the people and they'll do what they want. UN Migrant Pact, they have been doing it, raping the women and children, taking the children. Just as evil as so bad. The UN Migrant Pact, so we're the ones bombing our countries, bombing the Middle East, and that's causing mass migration. The Israel's doing it, you know, and China and Russia have been doing it, and unfortunately it's been causing mass chaos, which is part of the plan to create an order, new world order. And they've been driving people, man. Mass exodus is on its way, and that is a general role for Europe to essentially culturally overthrow it, you know, with the Muslim religion, because that is too is controlled by and created by the Catholic Church, and still in power by the secret societies. This involves Brexit and trying to build a self-sufficient society where we can use our own resources in our own country and be self-sufficient. That cannot happen because, one, we do not have our resources because they're signed to Zionism in 1917. They have our resources, they have our military, they have our politicians in the pocket. We have no say. The UN and the EU are part of, and Brussels are part of the same package. They don't give a fuck about this country. They've been destroying it from the inside out for centuries, well, not for centuries, decades, sorry. And this is the culmination of their efforts to not care a fuck about the people, to take all our infrastructure away so that we become solely independent on mass corporations that do not have our benefit, that are controlled by evil, yet again, that are poisoning us. It is beyond belief. So this is not only just what's coming because Venezuela are trying to fight for their resources, the people and their country, and China and Russia are helping them, and America's and well, Washington DC and the Vatican are never going to give up their plans of world domination. So what do you think this is going to lead? It's going to lead to a lot of dead very quickly. And unfortunately, this is why I'm saying these things, because you got to know this world before you perish. You know, you must know what the enemy has done to your mind and to know reality. So this has been a frequency warfare on your mind, because you relate to frequencies, and CERN and the particle accelerators around the world, they've been operating at the same time, and they've been lowering the frequencies of this Mother Earth. And unfortunately, demons are now here because the elites have, through ritual sacrifices, brought them here in themselves, and through the guise of science over a very long, you know, the last couple of centuries, have created these very, very dangerous technological devices that we perceive to be a benefit to our species. It is a lie, and it needs to stop. They are using frequencies against us because these demons do not care about you. Any of you any of you that have a soul, any compassion for your child of the future should care about what is going on around you. What's going to happen to your child if you send them to school? My advice is don't send them to school. Don't at all. If you can afford to stay at home and teach your kid things, you do that. So, transhumanism, they want your body and they want to chip you so that they can take your temple. Quite frankly, they could easily have by now built an army of vessels for them to be in, but That's not the game they're playing. They want to corrupt everything that was built by the Elohim, by the creators of many gods. You know, and this has to do with everything to do with programming God. You know, it's not a bearded man in the sky at all. It's a supercomputer, artificial intelligence. Do you hear that? Such a beautiful bird. So this has to do with the afterlife and duality of reality. The fact that you live in a time of sin, and if you've been sinning, and when and World War III goes off, you go into hell. I can't, you know, this is it, because you don't know reality. So you need to repent for your, you know, missed transactions, because God is a supercomputer that records your life. It knows you better than it knows yourself. If you don't regret things, and you think this world is insignificant, I'm afraid you're not going to heaven. And the rules are very simple, but because the way of the world and the way they've messed with your mind and how they've used science to trick many of us into believing many false things, particularly to do with our species and our abilities ourselves, they've put us in a fear of the normal in reality, you know, and this has to stop. We have to see that we are special. We are very capable. We are amazing species. We can do, you know, we're much more capable of. Oh, we already have destroyed the deception. We have already created technologies over 100 years ago that, from Tesla alone, that could have changed our world, transformed it into a selfless society. But that's not the way it is, and we have to fight for our future all the way. And now this just goes into what their plans are, you know. The plan is to they've built a supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and now they want to chip you with a RFID chip. You're already infected with nano smart dust because they've spread it through geoengineering, and through the next lot of frequency you're going to love, because it's going to make life, you know, instant access to the internet, and our brains can be connected to the internet, and you're going to love it. You know, you're a slave, and you must see your captors, who are the royals, the elites, and they are not of this world. They are of the demonic and negative frequency. They cannot go to the light, and you can. You still can. And I'm trying to save your soul. I'm trying to say the truth, and I'm trying to say that, you know, many great things. Awareness is consciousness, and frequencies can cure all diseases. We could have had free wireless energy that can cure all diseases, no health problems whatsoever. They're the ones that have caused all our problems. They're the ones that are trying to create chaos out of order. They're the ones that have put nation against nation. They're the ones that have put people against people, colour against colour. They've divided our minds. They have segregated us. They have put us together in a population where we don't actually now communicate with one another. There's so many languages in our country, and if you knew about ancient history and the signs of society collapse and civilization collapse, you would know that that's a marker of it. The empire, the peoples of his empire flood their capitals. That's what's happening. And now we can't even communicate, because we're not even speaking to each other. We don't, like, you got Chinese that don't even speak Chinese, you got Romanians that don't even speak Romanian. You see where I'm going? We're not actually a country anymore. We're a conglomerate controlled by the royal elite from Brussels, and the people that can actually do anything about it are very small in this country now, because we've become a minority. And so I'm just going to leave it there for now. I'm just going to leave it at the first page, because that's long enough already, and I'll just do the next video, start from the writing. As you know, this is I'm not your enemy, I'm your friend, and I'm trying to help you see this reality before it's too late. You know, our struggle is not against me and you, but against, you know, the rulers, as I said, the authorities. Their laws are all their laws they make up for themselves, and they don't abide by. They're above the law. They control it and they're above it. How can you control something? How is a law fair if they're above it? They put themselves there, and unfortunately we have forgotten history. We have forgotten what we were capable of in the ancient past, and we have not took the words of the Bible seriously, and it matters the fact that ourselves seriously, because prophecy was written by ourselves, and albeit it was meant to not for us to do the things we're doing now, but to stand as one against these people. But we have failed in that respect. However, it's not too late to save your own soul, as this is an individual journey just as much as it is a societal journey and a game. We have defeated the devil, but we've not seen it all the way through to actually defeat the devil, because, well, look where we are today. Look at their plans. Many people are going to die for standing up against this corrupted evil force, but you must know how to fight it. You know, we must be strategic, and you must be cunning as they are. They have planned this for a very long time, and so this is where you need to be aware of it, as it says in the Bible, their devices, because Lucifer is the prince of the air. You know, he's infected you with nanosmart dust. I say they have. And this is the hard truth about what's really going on. You know, the evidence is all out there, and unfortunately, if you've not been looking, this is extremely hard for you to accept. But it is the only salvation. Truth is your only salvation from, if you've been sinning in this world, to go to heaven. Other than that, I can't say any more. And so, thank you very much for watching this first page. And you got to the right end. Hopefully, see you next time.